So when did you find God? You were talking about God a minute ago.
I mean, find God. I don't know. Like if I was to pinpoint a time when like I had spiritual inclinations, it would absolutely be before I got sober. Like I had wild psychosis, like hallucinations, like hearing voices, and to this day, I like absolutely believe that was
like when you were on ketamine?
ketamine. Don't remember hearing voices on ketamine, but yeah, there was a lot of stuff going on with that, particularly like the combination of cocaine and nitrous oxide and sleep deprivation was I would say my main portal into like
To
the
Jesus.
not Jesus. Like
Oh.
I don't care for religion
Right.
so much. Like like if I have a spiritual like belief about the what's beyond our 3D like physical human experience, I get it from accounts of near death experiences, which are very like
DMT.
I don't know about DMT, but there's just a lot of people, I mean, perhaps millions, certainly thousands, who have one way or another like died
Right.
and had the experience of what's beyond death, but come back into their body. And like these accounts are consistent enough. Like you got people all over the world and they're describing the same things. They're like across the board, like fairly universally, they describe like being enveloped by like unfathomable love and bliss, and then all of a sudden like they like this experience that they had as a human being like is kind of revealed to be an illusion. Like they're like, oh, that was kind of weird, and but this love is actually their home, and there's
Have you ever had a near-death experience?
I've not, no. I've just
That's shocking.
Yeah, I've had lots of I'm not okay moments, but never like died and came back. But what's particularly, like I don't know, important to me, I suppose, is in these near-death experience accounts. There's a lot of descriptions of what's called life review. People say that when you die, your life flashes before your eyes. And like there's like real. That's a really another consistent part of this whole NDE thing, where people describe that on the other side of death, there's not like the constraint of time, like somehow time doesn't apply in like the spirit realm, whatever. So when you think, oh, your life flashes before your eyes, it's like without the constraint of time, you've got like, real immersion into this life review, as it's called. And the purpose of it is not so that you can, reminisce and reflect. It's rather like you experience like all of these notable moments from your life. People describe experiencing these notable moments from the perspective of the people who they had an effect on. So everybody that like you just shit on and bummed out, like did harm to, like upset, like as well as everybody who you spread joy to and made them feel great. Like you have the experience of how you made other people feel
through their perspective,
as them, straight up as them, and without the constraint of time and in unfathomable detail. Like,
dude, how the fuck does that work?
Well, I mean,
I don't think you can come up with any sort of like conventional, like scientific explanation for that.
I absolutely concur that it would be beyond our limited capabilities to properly understand it. I think that people who have these near-death experiences, there's so much irrefutable, I would say, irrefutable evidence where, people are like not registering any like sign of life, period. They've got like they're flatlined, like
Yeah.
they're not conscious.
Totally,
Like,
yeah.
they're demonstrably not conscious, but they come back, they come back to life, and then like tell the doctors what was going on.
experience,
They're
yeah.
like, oh, I was floating up above the room. I saw you grab this. Oh,
Doing
yeah, and you
this.
had the stain on your shirt. Like, like
Yeah.
they know, like, and the doctors are confounded. Like, wait,
Right.
there is no way that this person was conscious, yet they're telling me what happened. And like,
Right.
I'm just really confident that there's a lot of irrefutable evidence to that point. So you get to, what seems to me to be a very logical conclusion that you cannot point to the brain as being a generator of consciousness. Like that, like we seem to have evidence that consciousness exists separate from our brain activity. Mm-hmm. And that we cannot, science can't figure that out.
Right.
Science can figure out that, like, I mean, just, the doctors being told what happened in the room by someone who is dead. They're like, okay, they know. We don't know how they know. We don't know how consciousness exists separate from the brain. But my, like, dumb little theory is that, that the brain, rather than being a transmitter of consciousness, rather than being the originator of consciousness, it's simply the brain is like a receiver. Like kind of like our brain is like effectively picking up the signal of our soul.
A Wi-Fi signal.
And so then if you take this analogy like a step further, then you imagine like a radio picking up a signal. You can take a sledgehammer, you can destroy the radio to no end, absolutely obliterate it, but you've done nothing to affect the signal that brain was receiving. So if you follow that analogy, then it kind of makes sense that we could have the death of our body, but have consciousness separate from the body. And I
Just
think
like
that,
floating through the ether.
yeah, and like, I get like pretty into some wild stuff. Like I had this little phase where I was reading about the Pleiadians. I don't even know if you say it that right, but like in all this like the different crazy theories that I've read. One thing that stuck out to me quite a bit was the scientific, like the science community, I think agrees that 95% of human DNA, they've got no clue what it's for. And the scientific term for like this 95% of our DNA is junk DNA.
Yeah.
Can you look up junk
I've heard of
DNA?
Yeah.
And I'm not like sure if
Pull
I'm
it up, Jamie.
remembering this right, but like they effectively, if I remember correctly, like the scientific community cannot figure out what 95% of our DNA is for. And I heard a crazy theory that
Claims that 95% of human DNA is junk has been a topic of significant debate in the scientific community. Historically, much of the human genome was considered non-coding and thus labeled as junk DNA.
now I just simply like why this was impactful for me is because 95% of our DNA being called junk. I just
That seems unrealistic,
I
right?
mean, I personally think that there's a little bit more of an underlying intelligence going on in the universe than to
Yeah.
just be making that much garbage that's not good for anything. And the theory that I read was that there's like all these I don't know, what do you want to call it? Like entities, gods, spirits,
Yeah.
and that originally that humans, that we were multi-dimensional beings, that we were, and that's what the 95% of the DNA was for, is that we
Sound
were
like Billy Carson right now.
yeah, like multi-dimensional in the sense that we I don't know, we had Like our soul was like active, more actively, not separate from
Yeah.
our body. Like, and the theory in this Pleiadian or Pleiadians was that that the humans became too like as multidimensional beings, we were too difficult to control. So it said that some 300,000 years ago, like like wanting to be controlled or wanting to be able to control us, that they unplugged like 95% of our DNA. So we're no longer multidimensional beings. But like if you look at the people dying and knowing what happened when they were literally dead, and then you think, okay, well, there is consciousness operating separate from brain activity,
Right.
Then but then again, it's all just silly.
Well, maybe
Silly
that's like,
theories.
maybe it's similar to like when you're playing a video game and you die and it just like plays your death back over again. Or like you can go back and like rewind and play through it. It could be something like that.
Perhaps, but again, like the people describing the life review, it's like the key purpose, clearly is to reap what you sow. Like the idea that that you experience everything as those who you had an impact on.
Right.
Now, like I think that a lot of different religions, like spiritual, like like it's common, like the concept of oneness, that like we're all interconnected, that we're all like effectively just one thing. I've heard it described as we're all eyes in the same head. Like I personally love the theory that all of creation is an exercise in the universe experiencing itself. Because if you think of like the universe as one thing by definition cannot have experience because there's no other thing to relate to.
Right.
Like you can't have up without down, left without right. You can't have good without bad. So like and I think that the my spiritual take on it would be that this is what like Big Bang was. Like science, for all of its greatness, talks about Big Bang, but they're not even going anywhere near what banged.
Right.
Like, I mean, you could be like really pretty sure that there was a Big Bang, but like, what are we doing here if you don't have any idea of what like it was that banged?
Right.
Like what came before that?
Right.
So
how did it? Yeah.
So everybody's in the dark.